Hello and welcome to the Hugh Hatrick Show with a very special guest indeed. It is PlayStation Racer, Mitchell Morgan. Mitchell, it's great to see you and have you on the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really well, and thank you ever so much for having me on the show. As a quite a new streamer, I'm quite surprised you even found me. So I'm really privileged to be on with you today.
Oh, yeah, we definitely found you. In fact, you were recommended. Some of the guys in my stream were saying you need to interview PlayStation Racer. So we found you, and then we made contact, and that was the thing. And now here we are doing an interview. So I'll start with the question I ask all of my guests. How did your interest and when did you start playing racing games? How did it all begin?
Oh, crikey, a long, long, long time ago. Um, at the time, I had a Subaru Impreza wagon, a green one,
Oh yeah.
and by pure chance, that was my daily car, and by pure chance, Gran Turismo version 1 had the Subaru Impreza wagon in the game,
Oh
and
yeah.
somebody showed it to me, and it's
Uh,
like, "Oh, wow, I can actually take my car and race it." So I bought myself a PS1. I bought
mhm,
myself the first version of the game,
uh,
started playing it, and we were just playing, like, the solo offline stuff,
yeah.
and then I've just stuck with Gran Turismo all the way through. I've had a few other racing games over the years, but Gran Turismo is the one that I've had right the way through from version 1 through to Gran Turismo 7 that we're using now, and that's really how it happened. Purely just the fact that they had the car that was my daily runner.
Yeah. So have you always had a kind of interest in motorsport or racing as well? Or was it just when you saw that car there, you thought, oh, I'll have a go racing that?
No, I've always since as early as I can remember, I was a Formula One freak.
Ah,
Used to watch all of the races
yeah.
right the way back in Nicky Lauda and James
Oh,
Hunt's
wow.
days, and so
Wow.
quite some time. Then I got heavily into British touring car racing and
Yeah.
thoroughly enjoyed watching that. And I just followed it all the way through. Still follow Formula One to today. I've got the Formula One cars on the shelf
Yes, I see. I've
today,
got
and
a few there in the back of my picture there too, but you've got some lovely ones. They're quite
yeah,
good now.
yeah.
These scaled down productions, aren't they? They're lovely to have there as a display.
They're great, and I'm trying to tie it in with the shirts as well, but struggling a little bit. But yeah, no, I just loved it. I've had the opportunity to do a few things over the years as well.
Yeah.
I've done a couple of rally stages, and
Ah.
took a car around Millbrook on the proving ground and the Alpine
Oh
track.
yes, I've done that. Yeah, that's great fun.
Yeah, it was
That's
good.
great
I,
fun.
I had one session where it was actually at Millbrook. There was a Ford day on, and I was involved with that. We could go
Yeah.
out with all sorts of different cars, and I took an Escort Cosworth around the rally
Oh,
stage,
oh
and I
wow.
thought I was doing really, really, really well. I felt really, really great. I was having absolute great fun. The guy said I was doing well, and then it was like at the end of this session, and we were just having a break for lunch or something, and he says, "I really enjoyed that. Do you want me to show you how to do it properly?" And I'm like, "Hang on a minute, mate. I've just gone around here absolutely full beans on this thing." And this
Yeah.
pro driver took me around,
Yeah.
and you just wouldn't believe it. It was
Uh,
incredible. I was
yeah.
going around at a snail's pace. And that was quite some time ago, and that was one of the highlights. But I've been into motorsport and cars all my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Gran Turismo gives me that little escape where it's about as close as I'm going to get to actually proper racing, because I crash all the time, so I could never afford to do it for real. We're constantly in the body shop.
But it's quite funny though, because I think a lot of people are in exactly the same situation. And we love motorsport, we watch Formula One, things like that. And then, so the racing games are the key thing that we quite like to have a go at because it is a bit of escapism and it's our chance to
Absolutely.
have a go, isn't it?
Yeah.
I used to love the F1 games of the kind of the 2000s and even the early 2010s. They were quite good. I used to play those quite a bit.
Yeah.
But things like, even like I had Toka touring cars
Yeah. I played that.
in the 90s.
Yeah.
In fact, I even I was saying to the Sparks last night, we had a very funny game called Saloon Cars. It was from my Acorn A3000 computer.
Oh,
And it
wow.
had all these, you had a kind of career mode, and you had to build up your car. You started with an Astra GTE, and then you had to, if you did better, you would get more credits and you could then buy better bits for your car. And you
That's
had
it.
to start off on fatal slip tires. So it
Yeah.
was great. All these
Yeah.
all these budget things that they had. And so
That's one of the things that I think they're missing in Gran Turismo. I would
yeah,
love to see a career mode where you go from like a 5 or 6-year-old in a kart right the
yeah,
way through to some of the GR1s and GR2s. I'd love to see that in the game as a career
yeah,
mode. And like you're saying, where you have a very basic car and then you need to build it on, because I remember those days of playing those games where a career mode really was a career mode where you had to work at it. But yeah,
yeah,
I played a lot
yeah.
of the games you said. Took a touring car. That was the hardest thing in the world to drive
They were
that
great
thing.
though. I loved
It was great.
Toka 2. Toka 2 was good because then it had not just touring cars, you had to have other cars again to get you into the season.
That's
And
right.
you had to do Formula Fords. I'm sure they had Formula Fords. And I remember playing that at Silverstone and having a huge accident. I caused somebody to barrel roll because they had great, spectacular. I touched wheels and he went off in a cartwheel.
Oh
So that was
wow.
him out of the race. But the best bit was I came round the next lap and there he was waving his fist at me when he went round. He was waving his fist. And that's fantastic. So they obviously had a bit of a laugh, when things went wrong. They said, "Right, this is what's going to happen." So
Oh
it
wow.
was absolutely brilliant. And so no, I do like the games like that because they were a lot of fun. In fact, I was hope that Gran Turismo could get a kind of Formula Ford style car into the game because I think that would be a lot of fun. Because I know they've got like the Red Bull Juniors and things, but they're all kind of futuristic. I think it
Yeah.
would be quite nice to have something like Formula Ford or one of these base car kind of single seater kind of series to
Well,
see what
we
it'd be
were
like.
out in the Gran Turismo F1500 on Friday, which
Oh
is
yeah,
like a 1980s Formula One style car. And
yeah,
we were doing
yeah,
that on the stream as a Friday night special last Friday,
yeah.
which was absolutely brilliant.
They're hard to
Um,
drive, mind. They are
so,
tricky.
oh, it
Yeah,
took me a good couple of races to get the hang of it. Some of the guys
yeah,
were absolutely away and they were brilliant.
yeah.
And we did our usual photograph session. One of them said, "Hey Mitchell, can we do a photograph?" So we pulled up Grand Valley Highway and drove around to where all the parking bays are, and we
All
had
right.
16 of these Formula One cars lined up, and we did a
Uh-huh.
photograph. Then we went round to the start line. We bunched them all up really tight, and then
Yeah.
everybody just went away in a big old heap.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
really good.
that was
I could
interesting. That was
good
fun.
recording the replay for that actually, isn't it? That'd be great fun. That
Yeah, no, it was good, and of course I shared the replay
yeah,
of that particular race. So all the guys have gone off and they've done their own versions of the pictures and shared
yeah,
them
yeah,
and stuff like that. And we did another one with at Daytona on one of the nights, and I did it at night. So we had all the sparks flying,
yeah.
and some of the guys had done some fabulous pictures of Daytona as well.
Yes,
Um,
that's the one track I've been to. I've been to Daytona in Florida. It's a great circuit, and it's I've done the tour a couple
oh
of
wow,
times, and it's always warm. My goodness, you feel the heat over
yeah,
there, but it is quite it's got a lot of character. It's got a lot of atmosphere, even when it's empty. You
yeah,
can imagine what it's like when it's full to the brim.
oh wow.
But I'd like to go there eventually when there's actually a race hub. I'm going there later in the year, but unfortunately, it's not. There's no races on when I'm going to be there because I wanted to take the family and go and see an actual race at Daytona. I thought it'd be
That
quite
would be
fun seeing
wicked.
some NASCAR or something like that, some kind of race weekend.
Yeah.
We were once there years ago, and there was a big bike race on, so they had all the super bikes there,
Okay.
and but we couldn't get tickets for it. It was kind of sold out. But yeah, no, it does. I mean, it's a massive site, and they've done it all up, and it looks really good fun actually.
Oh,
It's quite a thing.
well,
But
I've only done two racetracks in my life. One was Le Mans with
uh-huh,
the long straight, the Camel Straight, which was a public road. We did that in a motor caravan with my dad, of
uh-huh.
all things. And then Silverstone, my daughter's got me one of these circuit experiences that
Oh
you can
yeah,
do in an Aston
yeah,
Martin.
uh-huh.
And I have done the slowest ever lap of anybody around Silverstone.
I'm sure you're
We were
not.
in this Aston Martin and we were doing the international circuit. And we were going pretty well. I was on my second lap, absolutely going for it. And we had a problem on the back of the car, a really
Oh
loud
no.
banging noise.
Oh
So
no.
we just went past the pits as this banging noise started. We think we got some pickup on one of the tires. So the
Yeah,
guy said, right, slow down. I don't want you to go above 20 miles an hour. And we
yeah.
did the whole of the international circuit at Silverstone doing 20 miles an hour with Aston Martins and Ferraris and all sorts of things blasting past us.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, I did 6 laps actually. We're only allowed to do, we're only supposed to do 3, but we did 6.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, the best lap of them all was the 20-mile-an-hour lap,
All right.
even more than doing the 120, because it suddenly dawned on me that as we went down the pit straight and you got all the
Yeah.
stands,
Yeah.
suddenly it hit me that I was on the tarmac that my heroes have driven
Yeah.
past all of the stands where the
Yeah.
crowds have been standing and sitting.
Yeah.
And I had all of that time at 20 miles an hour to take it all in. And it
Yeah.
was just the most amazing lap of Silverstone ever.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then we followed it up with 3 flying laps. And the guy that I was with, the tutor, um, he stopped talking to me and I got carried away and threw the Aston Martin off the track.
Oh no.
Yeah, we took it across some green Astro and he woke up and he went, "Whoa, brake, slow down, slow
Uh,
down."
as long as
But
you're
no,
able to rejoin all right and drive home.
yeah, yeah, it was
That's the thing.
fine, and we weren't in any danger or anything else. But
Aye.
he was like, because he was supposed to be keeping everybody in check and making sure we weren't going too quick, and he was
Yeah.
obviously quite relaxed with what I was doing. And suddenly, I went into one of the corners a little too bit quickly, and we found ourselves on the Astro turf. And yeah, like he woke up and he was like, "Okay, I don't think we'll do that again." But yeah, that was so. Those are the only 2 times I've ever been on a racetrack.
Ah, well. But it's great fun though, and you would have seen because you're big into touring cars. I take it, did you go and watch quite a lot of touring car action and things like that during the 80s and 90s? Or...
Well, because I used to live in Milton Keynes, we often used to take our bikes and head up to Silverstone in the 80s.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah,
there was a bank that we used to be able to go on just outside the circuit, but you could
yeah.
actually see the cars
Oh
back
yeah,
in the day. And a
yeah,
couple of times I've been up to Silverstone and I've watched the Ferraris running and the like, because
yeah,
you can very often you can get in and you can just go and stand up by the stands. So not in the
yeah,
stands,
for
but
the
just off
testing and
there,
things.
and you can
Yeah,
watch what's going on. So I've done that quite a few times
yeah,
to watch. But no, now I actually prefer watching it on the television,
yeah,
because in particular with the Formula Ones, you get those few seconds where the cars flash by and
yeah,
then you sit there scratching your head thinking, okay, what's going on? Or you're looking at the monitors.
yeah,
Where I actually quite like listening to David Coulthard and Martin Brundle and stuff at the moment,
aye.
and trying to say things before they do. The amount of times that my daughter and my son-in-law to be will say, "What's going on? What's going on?" I say, "Oh, this is happening and that's happening," or "He ought to do this in a minute, or ought to do that in a minute," and then they do it. And yeah, I quite enjoy that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I tend
Because
to watch it more on TV now.
yeah, we've had an issue because I used to watch it on Sky Sports quite a bit, and I use Now TV as well as a kind of cheaper version to do it. But the amount of things they miss, I mean, now they're always, they can't take a shot for more than a few seconds. It's always they're always jumping to another scene somewhere
Yeah,
else and somewhere else, and you can never think this when you just stay on the one car that's doing something.
yeah,
It'd be nice to actually have a few, 10 seconds to actually see what's going on.
yeah,
And then they end up missing, crucial overtakes, and because they're looking at somebody who's just, in 16th place coming through, and or so they miss something, or it's all at least I think that sometimes Martin Brundle does say that we need our directors to show us this, so they don't miss a battle that's
well,
going on.
I can't say anything about that because I commentate some of my races on the channel, and at least with Sky Sports and that, they've got a large team of people with loads of monitors and they can jump around. With me, I've got just me, I've got just the footage, and the amount of times I will cut to a car just as it's mid spin or mid into the barrier or whatever. So I yeah, I can understand how hard it is to chase the action when, I mean, I've just got
Yeah,
16 cars, but when you've got 22 cars hurtling around the
yeah,
track and you're trying to anticipate what's happening, it's really, really difficult. So, yeah, I actually think they do a pretty good job, to be fair. And of course, they've got the benefit of replay, which I don't have. Mine's all live.
yeah,
But that's one aspect of that I like in the racing. When very often when I crash and I'm so far behind everybody else, I'll drop out the race and then I'll jump in and just do some commentary on the guys, and they seem to like it, and it gives them a
yeah,
bit of
yeah.
airtime as well. So
Commentary is great fun. We used to do
yeah,
it
I
for
love
some
it.
ACC races, and it was quite funny because it was very much an international racing community that I was doing it for, trying to pronounce the names. I
Yep,
get them all wrong, and a bit of franglais here and there. And then they would send me an email saying, "By the way, it's Stefan, not Stephen." or Stefan, or I thought it was a girl, and when it's actually a boy. And
That's it.
on the whole, and so I get these emails coming back. They did enjoy the show, to be fair. In fact,
Yeah.
the hosts of the channel used to laugh away as we tried to make out these like Italian names and French
Oh,
names and so
I
on. It
have
was all
one.
quite fun.
I have one last night. There's a guy that I've been referring to as Hoon Saver,
All right.
and when I actually looked at the name properly last night, because when you've got all these names flying up and you're trying to commentate and you're trying to host a stream and there's so
Yeah.
much going on, you literally just read what you read on the screen.
Yeah.
And last night I realised it was Hoon Forever rather than Hoon Saver.
All
Then
right. Yeah.
suddenly I started referring to him as Hoon Forever. And he did this
Yeah.
big shout out in the chat in capitals, hey, he's actually pronouncing my name right. And Stream Elements
Yeah.
blocked him
All
because it
right.
was all in caps, which was
Oh,
quite funny.
that's-
So yeah, I'm having to learn now between races to look at the names and try and pronounce them correctly. But I still
yeah.
struggle because a lot of people in the chat they're one name and then in the game they're another name. So I
Yeah.
struggle with that as well, like crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've got something like 300 friends in PSN at the moment.
Oh
So
wow,
trying to
that's pretty
remember
good.
who's who and what's what and who's
Yeah.
young and who's old and who's this and who's that. Oh, it's just I love it, but it's so difficult.
Yeah. Yeah. Getting the
Hosting a
names right.
stream, people don't know the half of it. There we go.
No,
It's good
that's the
fun.
thing.
I enjoy it.
Yeah. So do you find then that you're playing more just in your lobbies than actually like on Gran Turismo 7? So you do more lobby work than actual daily races? Is that kind of where it ends up? Or is it a
Um,
bit of both?
it's interesting actually because obviously I've been playing Gran Turismo forever. And
Yeah.
then I've had a number of YouTube channels, and some of them are sort of like died and that. And I just thought, oh, I fancy doing another YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So I thought, what can I do? And then somebody said, well, why don't you just start streaming your progress? So I've been doing a lot of the solo stuff in the game,
Yeah.
and I started off just by recording doing the world circuit. So basically,
Oh yeah.
how-to videos.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people out there that are A and A plus racers that are doing all the how-tos. And what I
Yeah.
was finding is I was watching them, but then I was struggling to copy and emulate what they were doing. So
Yeah.
I just went online, just doing that as an average C racer as I was then, and I got
Yeah.
a bit of a
Yeah.
following. And I hadn't even thought about doing the online daily races at that point. Um,
Yeah.
then I had a couple of people that said, when are you going to go online? When are you going to go online? So I started to go online, and that was just a revelation. It completely changed my perspective and outlook of the game, because suddenly you went from racing the AI cars, which is really easy, to racing real people. And you go from thinking you're this brilliant racing driver because you're
Yeah.
winning all these trophies to coming last all the time.
Yeah.
So I started doing all of that. And then there was a couple of occasions where I was struggling with the daily race. The track or the car just didn't suit me. And
Yeah.
a couple of guys said, well, come on, we're not enjoying this either. Why don't you just open up a lobby
Yeah.
and do that? So
Aye.
then I started lobby racing.
Yeah.
And then the whole lobby racing thing has just sort of not exactly taken over, but it's become a big part of the stream and building this community, which I absolutely adore. I love racing with friendly, respectful racers, whereas the daily races tend to become a little bit of an argy-bargy and a pump fest.
Yeah.
And those
Yeah.
people that follow me, they'll know that I don't do arguments very well. I take
Yeah.
things very much to heart, and I can be
Yeah.
bubbly and loud and talking a lot. You're realizing I talk a lot on this interview, but I talk a
That's
lot on
right.
the channel, and then suddenly
That's
I'll
what we
go
like.
really quiet when something's happened. So what I'm trying to do at the moment is I'm trying to find a mix between the lobby races from 9 o'clock in the evening, Monday to Friday. That is my period. I do like 2 hours of lobby racing.
Yeah.
If I've got a lot of people and we're having a great time, well, I'll just keep going.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
or if people are dropping out and I'm down to like 5 or 6 people, then I'm bringing the stream to an end and I'm just leaving the camera on, but
Yeah.
doing some daily races if they suit. Like last week, we were at Red Bull Ring in the Mazda, and I've really struggled with the Mazda. And I
Yeah.
decided last week that I would watch the replays and learn and try and apply what I was learning. And Kushti, a very, very good friend of mine, was giving me some hints and tips as well. He tends to be my coach. I refer to him as, because he's
Yeah.
helped me for the longest time. He was one of the ones that said, "Come on, you've got to get online with the daily races."
Yeah.
But I was
Yeah.
applying a lot of what he was doing, and I did very well in the daily races last week. So it was like
Uh-huh.
9 to 11, and then daily races till, don't tell the missus, about 2 o'clock in the morning. This week, I'm not quite so sure about the daily races, so I'll probably do more lobby racing.
Yeah.
But I
I
get
quite
more.
like Race A this week is quite fun in the Maserati Marek, because I remember
Yeah,
that from Top Gear when they had to buy a supercar for less than £10,000, and
that's it.
I'm sure Clarkson had a Marek, or a Marek, whatever they call it, the Marek, and it ended up exploding in dramatic and wonderful fashion, as only a Maserati can do, on the last point of their journey. But I did Watkins Glen, and it's a short course, so it kind of suits it quite well. Have you
Yeah,
tried that one?
I haven't yet. No, I haven't yet. I should do.
It's quite nice to drive. It's a little bit. It's quite. You're going to watch it around the corners if you brake too hard, or it wants to swap ends.
Yeah.
But when you get it right, it's actually quite a nice car to drive. It's
I
actually
can
quite
imagine
fun.
that's run through that little double chicane, like the bus stop
Yeah,
on
yeah,
Watkins would
it's
be.
quite good. It's actually all right. And I remember having a Marek as a child, a little toy one, and I
Yeah.
thought that's the car you always wanted growing up,
Oh
And
wow.
it was yeah, no, it was. I'm sure it was given to me by somebody, and so yeah, no, it was all the old days of the Matchbox cars and things like that.
Well,
But
we should give that a go, because one of the things I do on the channel, and particularly in the lobby racing, is we're trying to celebrate and use a lot of the cars that a lot of other
yeah,
people don't. Like
yeah,
when I first started streaming, a lot of people were just doing GR4s and GR3s. There were so many
yeah,
channels out there doing that. And I thought we would, well, it started off, we did a 1980s evening where I just basically turned around and
yeah,
said, right, we're not racing. We're just
yeah,
enjoying the cars. We're at Goodwood.
yeah,
And we just took out 1980s cars, whatever you wanted. And we
yeah,
had the Sierra Cosworth
yeah. They're
racing, the
really
Ferrari
good.
GTO
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And the guys
They're
were
good. I
all,
think they're quite accurate. The Cosworth in the
yeah,
game is actually quite a fun car to drive and feels quite decent, to be fair.
it is. Well, I drove one of those back in the 80s.
Yeah,
The chairman for the company I worked for, he had one. And I
yeah,
got to take it out a few times. I was one of the few
yeah,
people that were actually trusted to drive it.
yeah,
How I never got a speeding ticket, I have got no clue.
yeah,
But I loved that car, and
yeah,
the only thing I
yeah,
was never able to do was to take it out on a racetrack as much as I would have loved to. So
yeah.
we
Now
took the
they're so
Crosby out
rare.
twice last night. That tends to be one of my go-to
Yeah,
1980s cars.
yeah,
But
it's a great machine. I
yeah,
watch a lot of these barn find programs on YouTube, and when they
yeah,
find a Sierra Cosworth, it's just, and there's still a few in fields, farmers' fields, round and about, or in
yeah,
barns that are just sitting there not being used. But the ones that have been found and they've been done up, or they've been even just get them running again, and they're worth about 60 to 80,000. I
yeah,
mean, vast amounts of money. When you think in the 80s and the early 90s, they were stolen all the time and you
yeah.
couldn't give them away. They were going for a couple of grand because nobody wanted them. And you
Yeah.
think, my goodness, we should have been collecting them at that point.
Well,
But
I had plenty of opportunity because I used to work in a Ford dealer, so I had
oh well,
loads and loads of opportunity to pick up, the Sierra
yeah,
RS
yeah,
Cosworth, the RS
uh-huh.
500. I got
Oof,
offered an
yeah,
RS Turbo, the Escort RS
yeah,
Turbo at one point.
yeah,
But
yeah.
at the time, it was like, marriage,
Where
kids,
do you keep
no
them as
time for
well? That's
fast
it.
forwards.
You know, you got to
Yeah,
store them and sort it away. But no, it's kind of amazing how those cars have completely come back in terms
it
of
is.
desirability. That
Yeah,
even like an XR3i is quite rare. To
yeah.
find a good XR3i is quite a machine there.
And of course,
But
the track day cars you can do these days
yeah,
are brilliant. My nephew, he bought himself a Mark One Mondeo,
oh
which
yeah,
was, I called it pink. It was actually Rosso red, but it was
oh
it
yeah.
was pink.
Had
And
it
he stripped
faded
it
under the
all
sun?
out and put a new engine in and everything else. He takes that to Abingdon
Uh-huh.
down there on a track day. But what
Yeah.
he's done is he's now painted it and he's got it in Paul Radisic's BTCC
Oh,
colours.
fantastic! Yeah,
When he turns up with that, it's brilliant. I went and photographing him racing it
yeah,
one time, and but yeah, I love
they
what
were good.
people do with these cars.
Yeah,
When they're
yeah.
restoring them and doing stuff with them. But yeah, people should restore cars more often, I think.
Yes, I think that's the nice thing about Gran Turismo is that you can do those kind of nights when you go to a track that you love and then just open a lobby, take the cars that you like, and
Yeah,
then go and have some fun. And if you want to race, you can. So, in in closing, what would you like to do with your channel, or how do you see it growing? What's kind of what would you like to achieve with it?
Oh, that's a very, very good question. I actually had a 5-year plan for the channel,
Uh-huh.
taking me up to sort of, like retirement age. Well, I'm not going to retire until 10 years, but the
Yeah.
idea was it was going to take me into retirement. And I'm actually 3 years into that 5-year plan already. It's going a
Oh,
lot
very good.
faster than I thought.
Yeah.
So initially, I wanted to do was get monetized in the
Yeah.
first year, and the second year, I just wanted to continue to build with the subscribers, and all of that's happening. And then what I wanted to try and do is I my ultimate goal is I'd like to get better and better to the point where I can actually then help and educate other people. That's what I would
Yeah.
really love to do. I love to share my passion of whatever I'm doing. I did archery for a while, and I
Uh-huh.
became an archery coach, and I actually took 2 people through to national level. And I
Oh,
absolutely love giving people that knowledge to go and do those sorts of things. And
yeah.
I've had a few people that have come to me and said, can you help me in Gran Turismo? And I've helped them, and we've done a few bits and pieces offline, and they've gone on to be better, even though I'm only average at best. So what I'd like to do is continue to invest in myself
Yeah.
and to build my skills and then share those. And the other thing is, on the 12th of March, I'm doing this 27-hour charity gig for Crohn's
Yeah.
and colitis. And I'd like to try and do more with the channel with that to
Mhm.
benefit people. So depending on how this charity gig goes, and I haven't got a clue how it's going to go, if I can build the channel and get a good number of people involved,
Yeah.
I'm not don't dream to be at sort of Rory and Kai's level, but if I can get a decent enough following, then I'd
Yeah.
like to do more charity work. And one of the people in the community, I've got a few guys that have mentioned that they've got issues that the charities support, and it would be
Yeah.
nice to partner with the community to do some charity events for their charities.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'd like to do some of that, and I just want to build a community of like-minded, respectful people that just want to hang out, that want to race, they want to chat. We got a few people that they just come in and socialize with us, which
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
brilliant. And that's all I really want to do with it. I mean, the channel will go wherever the channel goes,
Yeah.
and for as long as I can, I'll host it. And
Yeah.
while in my mind it's giving some value to some people, I'll continue to do it.
Yeah, it's a little bit like the streaming now has kind of replaced almost going to the pub. But now you can, because you can
Yeah,
chat away with your mates, but obviously you're at home playing your game as well. Some people will be in your lobbies, others will be watching, and they're there, and you can just relax and enjoy having a chat with your friends, isn't it? It's quite
absolutely.
nice the way it's kind of worked out for so many like that, which is
Yeah, no,
really good.
I've already made some really good friends online. I referred to them as my online virtual friends the other day, and I got into trouble because somebody came back and said, "There is nothing virtual about me. I am real. I'm a real person, and I am a real friend. We are now real friends." And
Yeah,
it was one of those moments in this journey that I'm on where another light bulb went on, and it is the fact that these guys that join me every
yeah,
evening, whether they just drop in for 5 or 10 minutes for a race and then drop out. Because I try and keep my races quite short,
yeah,
so people can drop in, drop out.
yeah,
They're not long races. And Ernie made me realize that I have this group of friends now that I
yeah,
can call friends. And there was a guy, it was a few weeks ago, but I think, and I didn't catch all of the chats, it goes through so quick, but I think he was going in for like some cancer operation or something, and I think he was a bit
yeah,
concerned about it.
yeah,
And blow me, over a 5 or 10 minute period, there's about 3 or 4 people said, "Yeah, we've been through that. This is what's going to happen. This is what you can
yeah,
expect." They completely, from what I could see, relaxed this individual. And I
yeah,
went away that night not thinking about the racing, not thinking about the stream. I felt good because this community of guys that has come together, we're all helping each other. And
yeah,
for
yeah,
me, that is worth far, far, far more than the
yeah,
game. And
yeah,
Kaz, who's building Gran Turismo, in my mind, he's building far, far more than just a game. He's
Yeah.
now building communities of like-minded people, and yeah, I just get blown away by where this channel's gone in just a short period of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you told me I was going to be where I am now with this number of subscribers, sitting on an interview with you, I'd have laughed a year ago. So
Well,
where
no,
it's
you
going to go
deserve
over
it. You've
the next
worked
couple of
hard.
years, I haven't got a clue. I've got no clue where this is going. I'm just going to continue to enjoy the ride.
Oh no, that's it's you've done a great job to get monetized, to get things sorted, and to bring a community together. Is always a good thing to do. You know, you've managed to do that, and been consistent, and people now are all part of it every week, and they enjoy it. So it's no many congratulations.
Well,
You
thank you.
deserve the outcome there that you've been able to create. So no, well done, well done. It's been a
Well, thank you.
pleasure to be able to talk to you. I know that we'll be using this video for your big charity event, so I do hope it all goes well. But stay on the line as I come to end the video, and because no doubt there'll be definitely chat in the outer studio when it's all done. But to everyone who's been watching, this is Mitchell Morgan, PlayStation Racer, and the link will be in the description below for his channel. Please subscribe if you haven't already. But it's been great to talk to you, and PlayStation Racer is very, very good. A lot of fun with his races. Make sure you join him. He normally streams like is it a Monday and a Friday that
Monday through Friday, nine
Monday through
o'clock
Friday?
UK time. We start off in the evening, and I'm normally streaming for a couple of hours or more. Very
Wow,
often, the guys I'm
into the
racing
evening.
with keep me on far, far later than I should do. But yeah, Monday to Friday, when I can, time permitting.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Mitchell. It's great to catch up. And to everyone watching, you've been watching the Hugh Hatrick Show. Remember to drive fast, but drive your bus even faster. Bye just now.
Bye bye, guys.